Hello, this is Mario, also known as Grandpa Mario. Today I'm going to read you a story called Rich Lady, Poor Guy. This is a picture of the rich lady. This story is in Smashwords, and you're welcome to go look it up and download it if you want. It's free. Rich Lady, Poor Guy. Darling, shouldn't we be setting a date for our wedding? Yes, sweetheart, responded William Hamilton. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. What's there to talk about, dear? We've been engaged now for several months. I believe it's the common thing for an engaged couple to talk about marriage, said Thelma. You're absolutely right, but we can't ignore the fact that a lot has changed since we became engaged. What has happened, darling, doesn't change the basics. I love you and you love me. We're engaged to be married. What is there to talk about? Dear, you've heard about the elephant in the room. The one in here is almost pushing us outside the door. Thelma Smith and William Hamilton were sitting in the small living room of Thelma's apartment. Though the love seat was barely large enough for two, the emotional distance between them was vast. 10 days earlier, Thelma had won the state lottery for $36 million. This fact had given birth to the baby elephant, who had grown to maturity in less than 2 weeks. You're talking about the lottery, she commented. Why does it bother you that I have suddenly become a millionaire? Don't you see how funny your question is, responded William, without attempting to mask the sarcasm in his voice. Dear one, it's only money, and I don't even have it yet. I haven't quit my job, and you still have yours. Why should it make any difference? The way we feel about each other hasn't changed. You should hear the joshing I'm getting at work. You're marrying her for her money, they say. You should have heard Jim. He said, "Aw, rich lady, poor guy." I laughed it off, but I felt awful. We both know that that was not right. But maybe a lot of guys will be thinking the same thing. Why do you care what people think? You're probably going to be quitting your job, and you won't be around those fellows anymore. That's just it. I won't have to work. You won't have to work. But it will be you who will be supporting the family. It would have been much better if I had won the lottery. Aren't you expressing a form of male chauvinism, dear? You can call it what you want, but I wouldn't like relying on you for anything I needed or wanted to do. That's not the way I was brought up. At home, my father was the boss. Nobody questioned that. He was the breadwinner. Even though mother had worked for a while, that didn't seem to matter a bit. The world is changing, dear. Men and women are equal. When we are married, there will be no such thing as a boss. We will be equal partners in making decisions. Yes, and suppose we don't agree on something. You'll be making the final decisions. The clock rings. No matter what time it is, it rings 12 times. I don't know if it's 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. The clock rings. I just have to wait it out. Let me continue from where I left off. Yes, and suppose we don't agree on something. You'll be making the final decisions. I would rather that in our house sometimes you would be deciding and sometimes I would. but it looks like there would never be a time when I could make a decision stick. You'll be the winner all the time. Like they say, it would be your way or the highway, and you know what the highway would mean for me. Nonsense, dear. You would have as much to say about everything as I. You say that now, but our marriage will be for a long time. I don't see how I could depend on what you're saying. Are you saying we should break up our engagement? I'm saying we should think about this. I certainly don't want to suggest anything radical, like you giving away all your money, or giving it to me, or refuse to take it. But we do need to find a way that we can live together as equal partners. I know that a lot of men in my position would be overjoyed with your good fortune, but with me, it's an unacceptable situation. Bill, you're being very unreasonable. There would be nothing in our marriage that would keep you from doing anything you want without resorting to my permission. You're an accountant. There's no reason why you can't grow in this profession and contribute to the household. There's no reason why you couldn't express your preference in where we're going to live, how many children to have, what to do on vacation, and all that. I don't know how to make it more clear to you that the fact that I won the lottery should make no difference. What would you say if I suggested we don't see each other for 2 weeks, while each of us thinks about what we've said today? Is that what you really want? Yes. Your suggestion is accepted, she said. Let's make a date for 2 weeks from today and meet here at the same time as now. Agreed. They stood, hugged briefly, then sadly parted. Time passed as it inevitably must. 2 weeks later, the couple was seated where they had been the previous time they had met. William spoke first. I've done a lot of thinking. How about you, sweetheart? I have too, she said. Shall I talk first, or do you want to? You, please. This may come as a surprise, she began. I spoke to a corporation attorney and told him that it was my determination to create a charitable organization with the money I won. I would call it the Hamilton Foundation for the Blind. I named it in honor of you. Every time I would hear its name, I would think of you. That was very sweet of you, honey, he stated. I plan to quit my current job and go to work for the foundation, she continued. I'll start as a receptionist and work myself up to the point where I feel I can take over its administration. I'll select another person to head it up until I get to that point. Bill, dear, she continued, I understand your concerns. I wanted to put this issue to bed for my benefit as well as yours. This kind of problem should never concern two people who are in love. You're exactly right, sweetheart. What did you decide would be the best way to handle our problem, Bill? It doesn't matter what I thought, he replied. Your ideas are so much more substantial. What did you think might be a good role for me in the foundation? I know I would be a good leader. I don't know, she replied. You might consider starting at the bottom, like me. Yes, I see, and work myself up. Great idea. And what about the wedding? I'm breaking the engagement, Bill. She'd handed him the ring that she had been holding in her hand. He took it numbly. What does this mean? He mumbled. Bill, dear, she said, when two people love each other, material obstacles should never be major issues. In a marriage, I want love to be the primary consideration. There should always be the feeling that despite difficulties, everything will work out well. You showed me that your love for me was not strong enough to overcome the problem is that I was going to be the rich lady and you were fated to be the poor guy. That's the end of the story. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. There'll be another story tomorrow.